Alrighty, so earlier today we talked about the LA Galaxy in the season preview. Now we're going to talk about their crosstown rival LAFC. And by the way, if you do hear some noise outside, I do apologize. Apparently, they're doing some road work outside of my house right now. But yeah, today we're going to talk about LAFC, and for LAFC, obviously heading into this season, they're going to have a new head coach for the first time in quite some while. But one thing about LAFC that is a little different compared to previous year is that they didn't really change too much when it comes to the team. In the past, this team tends to like gut their team and completely change the midfield like what we saw last season as well. This year's a little different. I mean, yes, they did make some move at least on the attacking end to improve the team, but for the most part, they pretty much brought back almost the same team, and this is definitely a team that is loaded once again and are looking to compete for MLS Cup and other competition as well. Now, last season, they finished with a 17-9-8 record and finished with 60 points, but they were eliminated by the Vancouver Whitecaps in the second round, and it was a spirited game too against the Whitecaps in the second round, only eliminated in the PK shootout. Their last playoff appearance, of course, was last year, and then, of course, their last MLS Cup and the only MLS Cup that they won was in 2022. Last five season, as I mentioned, in 2025, they finished with a 17-8-9 record, finished with 60 points, eliminated by the Vancouver Whitecaps in the second round. But in 2024, they finished with a 19-8-7 record and finished with 63 points, and also was eliminated in the second round, this time by the Seattle Sounders. In 2023, they finished 14-10-10 and finished with 52 points and lost to the Columbus Crew in MLS Cup. But in 2022, they did finish with a 21-9-4 record and finished with 66 points, and they won the Supporters Shield that year as well, and capped off with an MLS Cup win against the Philadelphia Union. And then in 2021, this was really the only bad season that LAFC has had ever since they came into the league in 2018. 12, 13, and 9 and 45 points, and it's the only time that they did not make it to the playoffs in their franchise history. Now, looking at some of the transfer that they, of course, done, they bring in three new guys, mostly on the attacking end. They recently got Mean Baldry, a new U22 Vinicius signing that they got done actually yesterday. I mean, there was rumor that, of course, he was going to come to this team, but the official signing did happen yesterday. Then they also got Jacob Schafferberg early this season, though he is going to be out at least for the first couple of weeks because he's still uh, dealing with some injuries to begin the season. I believe he had a surgery on his knee, and he's going to be out at least for the first couple of weeks. And then they, of course, bring Tyler Boyd to this team as he's now joining the other LA team after spending times with the Galaxy and then going to Nashville. And it's kind of interesting the fact that now he's going to be going to the other LA team and become the latest player to now play for both LA side in MLS. Now, looking at the players that's no longer on their team, there actually is quite a couple of players that's no longer on the team, but most of these guys are probably just depth chart guys. You got Yaya Boa, Ryan Raposo, Adam Saldana, David Ochoa, Andrew Moran, and Oldham Holmes no longer on this team for LAFC. Looking at the first five games for LAFC, they got Inter Miami at the Coliseum. Obviously, that's kind of the one of the showcase game of the opening weekend. In fact, you could argue that is pretty much the showcase game in a matchup that maybe could be a preview of MLS Cup. I mean, I know usually I don't throw that word around in just the first game of the season, but yeah, this is a heavyweight matchup. I mean, there's a lot of storyline coming into this. It's not just Son versus Messi, but you got to say it's also kind of Bawanga versus Messi, and Bawanga facing against the team that he almost joined and probably have a little regret of not joining Inter Miami this offseason. Then they go on the road to face against the Houston Dynamo before playing against Dallas at home, and this technically is their home opener because I know the first game of the season is at home, but they're just kind of playing across the street at the Coliseum. The real home opener at BMO Stadium is the game on March 7 against FC Dallas. Then they play St. Louis at home before go on the road to face against Austin FC. So just like the Galaxy, they have a pretty good, heavy home schedule to start the season. Three of the first four games that they play is going to be at home. Now, looking at the last five games, they play against Austin at home before going on the road to face against NYCFC. Then they got El Tráfico against the LA Galaxy before playing against Minnesota at home, and then they finished the season on the road against the Seattle Sounders. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting matchup to see this game. Which I know people might not say that Seattle and LAFC is a rivalry. It kind of is starting to be because both of these teams always tends to play in big games like that, and maybe that could be a big game to decide seeding or even the number one seed by the end of the season. But one thing I will say, when you look at the last 5 games for LAFC, it's not easy. It is very tough. They have some really tough games to finish the season. Some really good opponent for last season that they might have to run to, and yeah, their decision day matchup is definitely not going to be easy. It's one of the toughest one that they'll get in recent memories. Now, they also are participating in the CONCACAF Champions Cup first leg. They're going to be playing against Real España on February 7th on the road before returning home on February 24th to play against Real España. Now, looking at the strength and weakness of this team, the strength is definitely the starting 11. When they do have the best starting 11, this is definitely one of the best starting 11 in the league. I mean, from top to bottom, you can't really find too much weakness in terms of the team, and it is definitely a starting 11 that is an MLS Cup contender when it's firing on all cylinder and when they are healthy. Now, the biggest weakness I think with this team has got to be the head coach, and I know it's kind of weird to say that the weakness is head coach, and I think this is kind of maybe the only team I would say that their biggest weakness is definitely the head coach, because there's a lot of uncertainty of Marc Dos Santos, and that kind of is a easy way to kind of jump into the free big question I would say about this team of the fact that for Marc Dos Santos, we know what he did last time with the Vancouver Whitecaps. It didn't go so well during his time with the Vancouver Whitecaps, and it's not like the fact that he didn't have talent with the Whitecaps. He had some decent talent with the team, but just never really quite figure it out. Now that he's going to be going to a team that I would say this team definitely has much more talent than when he is taking charge with LAFC. And if there's one thing we know about LAFC is that, remember when Steve Chernow was hired with this team, and he was a very unpopular hiring because of him not doing so well with what they used to be their second team and kind of their affiliates with the Las Vegas Lights in the USL Championship. Well, it turns out he did pretty well to a point where he won this team an MLS Cup and a US Open Cup doing his tenure. And maybe that might be the case for Marc Dos Santos. Though again, the one thing I wonder with Marc Dos Santos is he going to change much when it comes to tactically of an already loaded roster? I would say he probably shouldn't change too much. I mean, it's tempted for him to do so. But I think with the way that this roster is already loaded, and you got to remember, he also is an assistant of Steve Chernow. So every single week, he knows what Steve Chernow, of course, done. This is not like another guy from a different organization just come in to take charge of the team. This is a guy that's been with this team for a while, so he does understand this roster. So maybe that might gives LAFC fans some hope. The fact that because he kind of understand the roster and he already know exactly what the tactics that Steve Chernow runs on a daily basis, that maybe he doesn't really change too much. He just let the way that the Steve Chernow basically uh um do what needs to do in terms of making this already loaded roster shine their talent. And if that's the case, then this team is going to be good again. Now, if that is not the case, and if you decide to change something, that is where LAFC fans are a little nervous, because when he tried to input his own tactics during his time with the Vancouver Whitecaps, it did not work whatsoever. They were a bottom tier team when he tried to do so. Can Denis Bouanga get off to a better start this season? So for the past couple of seasons, Denis Bouanga has kind of got off to a slow start. Something tells me this season he is definitely get off to a better start, because the big difference, I think, compared to the last couple of years, and really just the last year as well, he actually has some playmaker on this team that can, of course, feed the ball to him. I mean, they got that guy called Sung Hyun Min, which I'm actually really excited to see what he can do now for a full season. I mean, we kind of got a little preview of that last season when he came in, and how much of a big impact that he immediately made to this LAFC team. And now we get to see a full season of him alongside with Denis Bouanga. Man, if that dynamic duo was deadly to finish the season, I can't imagine how this season is going to be. I think that this might be one of the most deadly dynamic duo, and that both of those guys, I would not be surprised would be contributing at least more than half of the goals that LAFC would score this season. And because of that, because the Wonga does have a playmaker, and with them also recently signing a main Baldry, a guy that a lot of people said that he has a lot of high upside, did very well during his time in Sweden, and could add in another weapon in terms of the playmaking ability. I think the Wonga probably will get off to a better start. The only thing I will say that he needs to now do to get off to a better start compared to last year is that he needs to do better when it comes to his finishing. That was, I think, one of the big issue with Denis Bouanga last season as well. It's not because of the fact that he was not getting chances. He was getting some chances early last season, but he wasn't putting it away. He's gonna have to do that if he doesn't want to get off to a slow start. Because if he doesn't get off to a slow start, something tells me he is definitely gunning for the Golden Boot. I mean, he came close last year, even without the slow start. I can imagine if he does not get off to a slow start, that he can once again score 20 plus goals and definitely be going mano and mano with Messi for that Golden Boot race. And then the third big question of this team, this does this team have it in them in terms of winning silverware and come big in big games? So I know I am bringing once again that narrative, and I'm pretty sure LAFC fans are tired of me mentioning the fact that this team can't get it done in big games, and they will just immediately point to see what they did against the Philadelphia Union in MLS Cup final, and also what they did against Sporting KC in the US Open Cup, of able to come through in big games like that. Yes, they have been able to come through some big games and won some silverware before. But I do still think there is that certain doubt, the fact that, when you also look at those two games that they of course won, the game against the Union, if it wasn't for Gareth Bale scoring that late stoppage time winner in extra time and then winning the PK shootout, we would definitely be talking about kind of a legacy of failure that this LAFC team have never able to get it done in MLS Cup, and even in the US Open Cup against Sporting KC as well. That game they had to go to extra time to do so against a team that they were heavy favorites against. I mean, it was almost a sure thing against one of the weakest team that season as well. But yeah, when it comes to big games like that, when they do have those pivotal games against teams that they need to win, so that they can of course move on to the next round. They haven't really proven more times or not that they've been able to get through, and that kind of is the case at least in the last three season as well. Not able to get it done, and of all the success that LAFC has had ever since they came into the league, this team have only won for a trophy. Now I know that sounds kind of like saying that that's not too much. Four trophy is still pretty good for a team that came into the league in 2018, but for the caliber that LAFC has had, and with them being just so good every single year, you would have expected them to at least win more silverware. And especially I think this year, not just the fact that they're gunning for MLS Cup as the main silverware, but I think the Concacaf that they'll definitely be gunning for this year. I mean, they came so close the last couple of times when they are in this competition. They made it to the final twice when they are in this competition. Lost to Leon a couple of years ago, and then just in 2020 in that COVID kind of situation, they lost to Tigres in the final as well. So that's going to be a competition that they really want to come through. So yeah, like I said, there are a lot of high expectation of this team, which is why now getting to the prediction of this team, the high I'm gonna say is first place. I think this team definitely has the ability to finish top of the Western Conference. They've shown it before that they can do it, and I feel like the quality of this team will do so. In terms of low, I'm gonna say fourth place, but I would also say it could be lower depending on if Mark Dos Santos absolutely screw things up. I also think that if he does screw things up, and if this team get off to another slow start like we did last season, I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Dos Santos will be out of the door relatively soon. He is definitely stepping into a position where I think he's going to be in the hot seat, mainly because of the way that he wasn't really a popular hiring, and especially with all the talent that this team has, there's really no excuse for this team to stumble out of the gate and not look like an MLS Cup contender. So there's a lot of pressure on him, and I'm only saying that they won't finish anywhere lower than fourth is mainly because in case if Mark Dos Santos and his reign goes absolutely wrong, and they'll just fire him and maybe get another guy in that seems like could do the job for them, and also with the way that they're also playing the CONCACAF Champions Cup as well. Maybe there are going to be some games that they'll be punting away, and that at the end of the day, I can't see this team finish no lower than fourth place. Now, this team is way too talented to not finish anywhere lower than fourth place. And if you gotta also look at this team, I mean, there's only twice I think for LAFC in their franchise history that they finished lower than fourth place. They finished in seven, I think, in the COVID shortened season, and then of course the very next year they didn't make it to the playoffs. That's the only two times where they finish below fourth place. This team has always been a top four team, and I expect it's going to be the same case again. Just looking at how good this roster is, easily this is a top five roster in this league. But there you have it. That is pretty much it. Talk about LAFC in my season preview. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this preview, and if you're an LAFC fan, what do you think is the strength, the weakness, free big question, and your prediction in terms of how this season is going to be this year. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.